Oh, okay.
They're gonna make you eat. Are you hungry? Hey everybody, happy Sunday morning and welcome to Coffee with Cassie. And today we have a very special guest, the beautiful, lovely Miss Courtney Luna.
Hello.
Thanks for coming on today, Miss Courtney. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. I've got my little Americano black because I'm still fasting. It's early. It's the butt crack of dawn here.
Yeah, it is. And I appreciate that. Thank you so much. But you are a mama, so
Yeah.
you might be used to being up this early, but moving around a lot, that's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, there's no way I would still be sleeping if I wasn't here. So it works out great.
Perfect. Well, I'm sure most everybody knows who you are, but if you wouldn't mind, just for those who don't, tell them a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm a mom in Southern California. I have 2 little kids. I have been carnivore for 14 or 15 months now, and it was a long road to get here. I wish I heard about it sooner. I was keto on and off for 7 years before finding carnivore and never once came across it. Like I never heard it. Like why was I so out of the loop? So I found carnivore from my husband sending me Paul Saladino's TikToks. And that was our intro. And yeah, I started it and started animal based and quickly realized the carbs and the sugar weren't working for me still, that I need to abstain. And I went strict carnivore and I haven't looked back.
That's right. Isn't that amazing? And, I think so many of us can relate to that. We wish we had found the diet sooner. And it's just that it has been suppressed. That's the way I look at it, because there's no money in healthy people. And but so many can relate to that. And it is a struggle, and you have to play around with your food a little bit because it's not always perfect, but yeah. So one thing I've noticed, so you have a couple platforms. So you are on YouTube and you're also on Instagram. And one thing I learned about you on Instagram is that, and I want to say congratulations because this is awesome and I'm so excited for you, is you are in the midst of creating a cookbook. So would you tell everybody a little bit about that?
Yeah, so they actually found me on TikTok, which is funny because that is like my most hated platform. Like that's where they don't like me. So it's interesting that those haters helped me get this book deal. So we just started, essentially. I just started this week with like my schedule of things that need to be done. I've cried a few times. It's been it's overwhelming, but it's so exciting and it's fun. My deadline is, and it was up to me. They asked me what timeline I would like to be on. Ideally, working on one recipe a week would have been ideal, but then you guys wouldn't have this book for like a few years. So I'm crazy and I'm like, yeah, 3 recipes a week. I can do that and homeschool my kids and take care of the house and this and that. So yeah, not a good decision, but my deadline is January 31st. So I will hand that over and they will need about 6 to 9 months to do whatever they do. So we are hoping for fall of next year and just hope that everyone and everything is on track for that.
Oh, that is awesome. Wow, that's quite the process. I've often wondered how much work went into that. I mean, I knew it would be a lot, but my gosh, it seems like it is a little bit overwhelming and a little time consuming. But
yeah. And I have to do the pictures, which I feel like I always talk about because I think it's so wild. Like I just cook. I'm not a food photographer. I'm not a food stylist. Like that is not my area of expertise. And now I'm going to be doing the pictures for this thing. Now, mind you, they have like all these like guidelines on what to do and they'll be editing everything. But yeah, I mean, and I also thought I would be like, here's my recipe, like here's the ingredients and here's what I do. You guys are going to make it look awesome. No, I have a 60-page document on how to write recipes properly. And there's so much you wouldn't have even thought about like that needs to go into it. And I do have an editor, so they will be editing things. But as far as I know, because I still have to turn in my first 5 to get feedback, as far as I know, they mark it, send it back to me, and then I fix it. So it is very much me writing this thing. They're just helping me. So it's a lot, especially when I don't know what I'm doing. I've never made a cookbook before. So it's pretty interesting. And so I'm sharing the process as much as I can, as much as I would think would be interesting to people. Sometimes here on YouTube, but mostly like in my stories on Instagram or things like that.
Yeah, that sounds like quite the process. I'll tell you. Like I said, I really do give you kudos. You just I already knew it was a lot of work, and then that little explanation just confirmed that and let me know that told me that there was more work than I initially thought. So good for you. I know you're going to be rewarded at the end, and you're going to be so happy that it's done. You'll probably be exhausted and stressed out, but you're a mama, you know how to handle those things. And one thing I just learned, I did not know that you homeschooled your kids. So good for
Yeah.
you. Good for
Well,
you.
it's
That's
kind of just starting. I have a now 3 and a 5-year-old. So we are officially starting kindergarten this fall.
okay.
I'm not a
Okay.
teacher either. Like, how do I get myself into these things?
You sound like me, you just dive in head first and everything will sort itself out.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
know what needs to be done. You know what sounds right. So just do it and you'll figure it out as you go along.
Cross your fingers.
Aw, that's awesome. I love hearing that. I love to hear the fact that parents are taking control of how their children are raised and, you know, um, taking it, like I said, taking it upon themselves. It's not just writing a letter to a teacher or anything like that. No, you are taking it by the reins and going to lead them through their education, what they need to be taught. So that's really awesome. Good for you. Good for you. Sorry, we've got little Miss Rosie over here, and I know everybody wants to see Rosie. We'll see her at some point. So, okay, and this is one thing that we've seen lately. Larry and I, we've been watching your stuff, and you're doing this ice plunge. So, if you wouldn't mind explaining a little bit the process and how it makes you feel, and just let them know how that's going for you.
Yeah, it's been so amazing. I have not seen my neighbors face to face since we've started this. I can only imagine what they're thinking because I cannot go into this plunge silent. Like it just doesn't happen. I think of it as like childbirth. Like, okay, I had C-section, so I don't even know what that's like, but you hear everyone like, like screaming. Like you don't just sit there silently. So it is such like a huge mental obstacle just getting in there. And then you're in there and it hurts. It hurts so bad. And your hands are on fire. We actually just heard that you can like you're allowed to take your hands out and like that's okay. So I take my hands in and out because otherwise they're just really on fire. But after 3 minutes, you're numb and it's not bad. It actually kind of starts to feel warm in a weird way. Maybe hypothermia is kicking in. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but we shoot for 5 minutes when we do it. Um, I can't remember if the goal is 11 minutes or 15 minutes a week as a minimum. So we do 5 minutes a day. Lately, we've been doing it every other day. And my husband's the one that is like taking the reins on this thing. Like if he hasn't been doing the, if he wouldn't be doing like the ice and stuff, I probably would never go in it. Like I'm not going to set this thing up. It's torture. But how I feel after, it's like it's so worth it. First of all, just getting in, you're like conquering this whole thing just to get in because naturally your body doesn't want to go in. It's like touching a hot stove. Like you don't want to keep your hand on a hot stove. So that's like a big accomplishment, just getting in there. And then when you're done, like you just feel amazing. It's so hard to explain. And I've heard people say it before and it's like, oh yeah, you feel awesome after, good for you. But it's like, no, you feel amazing. You feel motivated, like you could take on the world and just like go after things. Like I think after the second day, I was like, I didn't go and like sit on the couch and have my coffee. I was actually cleaning my house, like shocking. So it's just been good. And my mood, that's been another thing. It's really just made me more like happier and it lingers like through the day. And even like, during my PMS week where I might be a little extra irritable, it's made a difference for that too, which technically I hear that maybe I shouldn't be doing it during that week. Like I know we're not supposed to fast because it's a stressor and this is a stressor, but the benefits that I'm getting in my mood and everything else have just been amazing. So I love it. I can't speak highly enough of it. It's better than cold showers. If you're like, oh, I can't do cold showers, I don't want one, this is so much easier because you just get in, you submerge, you're not being like pelleted with cold bullets the whole time.
So let me ask you, is there like a time limit that you're building up to, or is there a maximum that you really shouldn't go over this certain amount of time while you're in the ice plunge or
Yeah,
anything like
you know what? Jeff's the expert on all this, and I don't always listen to what he's saying, but I do know like 5 minutes is good. I see people do it for like 2 and 3, and I think that's okay too. But I think 5 minutes is the goal. I think like Wim Hof, I mean, this is kind of where we're getting this stuff from, and Wim Hof and his like breathing exercises. I feel like he does it for longer sometimes. I believe he has like a record in it, but I don't think you want to go longer than 15 minutes if I'm remembering correctly. And then you'll get hypothermia or maybe 30. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Oh, geez. I would be interested to try it, but I don't know if I'm ready for something like that. I know you say it sounds great. It's something that's an unknown, and we've all been in cold water and it's just not pleasant. But I think I would really like to try that just to experience that good feeling that you're talking about and the stabilized mood. And your mood is better throughout the day and you're more motivated. I think that would be worth trying it for that reason alone.
Yeah.
But yeah. So you're talking about fasting. How long are you on your fast right now?
Not long. I'm trying to be more mindful. I feel like the last month has been kind of wonky for me and I'm going in the wrong direction. The scale's going up. I haven't had anything that hasn't been carnivore, but I'm eating when I might not necessarily be hungry. So it's like that late night bowl of pork rind cereal that I love or some yogurt, but it's like I don't need to be having that. I find when I'm just eating meat, it's very easy to listen to your hunger cues, but when I'm incorporating dairy, that's where I struggle. So right now with my fasting, I'm just trying to be like dinner and done and not have something else unless I was truly hungry. So I don't remember when I stopped last night. I'm probably only like 12 hours of not eating. So we'll see how it goes. Jeff just did 3-day fast and he loved it. He said it felt so good. The longest I've done was like 24, and then did like an OMAD. So I'm hit and miss with it. I hear eating carnivore is good enough that we're kind of like mimicking some fasting benefits, but we watch a lot of TikToks on this and you hear like all the autophagy and what happens after a certain amount of time. And it's essentially just eating out all like the garbage in your body. I hear an analogy of like pushing all the expired food in the back of your fridge. Well, when you fast, you're then going in and like taking all that out. So that's where I'm at with it. Do you fast? I don't know if we have a delay now.
Yeah, I think so a little bit. I kept waiting for your voice to return, but autophagy. That was we've as if you know, Larry and I, we did extended fasting in February, and that was absolutely insane. And what I was going for was autophagy, but so many people have said you have that faster's freedom, which is what probably your husband experienced, after 3 days, or 3 days is usually a good marker, and people are no longer hungry. Their mood is elevated, they just feel amazing. And I had snippets of that. And I never experienced that. And it ended up being, I don't think for me, especially that length of time, because I have hypothyroidism and I should not have done that. not that length of time, because I was absolutely miserable the whole time. And then there was a little bit of it was just difficult, because at the time I was serving food and drink. So I'm talking food, I'm serving food, I'm smelling it all day, it was pretty much a miserable experience for me. But I would have loved to have felt that faster's freedom, like your husband did. And I think you're doing it the right way, though. 24 hours. There are so many studies out there that say, women, we really shouldn't go more than like 48 hours, just because, we're different. And so good for you doing your OMAD. That's really awesome. I think February just really scared me away from it. No, I don't want to experience that. But the autophagy was really something. It's like, you know what, you want to keep disease at bay, that's the way to do it. But okay, well, why don't we get into some comments here? I have not had an opportunity. Anybody who's in here, if you do have a question for either Miss Courtney or myself, just put a Q in front of it, and it'll be a little easier for me to find. But I'm going to go back here and let's just say hello. I'm sure you see some familiar names in there. Oh, we have Carnivore Quest Larry. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you again. Miss Joyce Butler. We have Tina, Marnie Mack, the amazing Marnie Mack, and Sarah. We've also got Tirza, molto bella, mi familia. And we have Nadia. Miss Ellen is in here. Hello, Ronaldo. All right, let's see if we can find some questions, or we'll just pull up some comments and have a little discussion about that. Let's see. I see a lot of chatting going on in the comment section. Okay. Well, here we go. We're just going to pull up a comment until I see a question. So Miss Kelly says, currently on a 48-hour fast at 52 right now. Okay, so you went above and beyond. Good for you. I wonder how you feel about that. How you're feeling, because I did okay the first 2 days. I think it's pretty easy. That it can be done, but anything beyond that, no, that's just not my cup of tea. We have Connie Knight. Hello, Miss Connie. You are a lovely lady. I love this woman. She and I, we meet up. I have a ladies group out here. We upstate South Carolina. Just so you know, Connie, I'm going to send you a message anyway, but we're going to meet on Friday. So we get a group of ladies, and every other week, I'd like to make it a little more frequently, but we go out walking and get to know some of these amazing ladies in our group. It's awesome. I love it.
How fun. I need a local carnivore friend. If anyone's in Southern California, let me know.
Oh, who do we have? Amber and Dan? I believe they're in Southern California. So check out their channel. She goes out walking every day. I know there's a lot of SoCal people out there. Let's see. Kelly Brooks says, I feel amazing. Good for you, mama. All right, Miss Connie, she's going to take off here. So let me highlight. There we go. And we've got Miss Beebs KO. Hello from Ontario. Hello.
Good morning.
Let's see. We have whom else? These live streams, it's hard to discern if there's a conversation for the stream itself, or if they're talking with each other. Oh, I see a question. Here we go. Perfect. So Miss Michelle says, waiting for all this AM about DDP Yoga. How did you get started, and how do you use the app? Are you familiar with DDP Yoga, Courtney?
No clue.
Okay, so actually that is I haven't used any of the apps, but 15 years ago there was an infomercial. They still do those on DDP Yoga, and they highlighted Arthur's story. Arthur was very disabled, not doing very well. He was in bad shape. And then they showed his transformation. So DDP is Diamond Dallas Page. He is a former pro wrestler with WWE or WWF or whatever it is now. And so he created this program, and it's just yoga. His style is low impact, but it's highly impactful, and you get a real good workout. So um, we found the DVDs 15 years ago. They sat on the shelf and collected dust. And then last October, November, I started to implement stretching just a little bit. I wasn't really consistent with it, but then I just started to do a little more and started feeling good about that. And then I started working out a little bit, and then I dusted off the DVD case and started doing DDP yoga. And now I'm up to 2 days a week, looking to make it 3 days a week. I bought some resistance bands the other day and going to start doing that too. But for anybody who wants to exercise, you want to work your muscles and sweat and feel really good, I think this is a really great introduction to working out, because you can modify your moves. It doesn't have to be anything busy, anything crazy. You do what you can, just like with anything else. But I did buy a DVD set. It was a couple months ago, and I'm like, oh, I saw this one. It was an infomercial. I don't know if you've heard of it, Insanity.
Yeah, I've done that.
You did? Oh, you're a rock star, girl. I made it as far as just doing the test. I'm like, there is no way I'm going to do this. So that is my goal. I would like to be able to at least modify some of those moves without killing myself. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
didn't finish it.
no, but you know what? You started it. So that's no joke. I
It
thought it
was
would
a
be
long
some,
time ago.
yeah.
Yeah.
So are you thinking about implementing that again, maybe finishing it?
I don't know about that, but I mean, we have a whole setup in the garage, a whole gym setup,
Yeah.
and that is like one of my biggest struggles is getting out there. I've never loved working out. I've never been one that's like, yeah, let's go. It's always been a chore for me. And I go on little stints where I'm consistent and then I fall off. So right now I'm on the falling off part. It's been about a month since I've like been out there doing good. But when I do work out, like that's what I like to do is like lift heavy weights when I'm out there.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, you can feel so good after a workout, and then you get that momentum rolling and you just feel amazing. You look forward to the workout. You skip a handful of days and then that's it. It's just so easy to not get up and do the hard stuff again. I hate that. I really do. And it's kind of like slipping on carnivore, right? You can do so well for so long, one or two little slips or whatever you want to call them, and it could completely sabotage any momentum that you had going.
Yeah, it's tough. And that's where discipline comes in. You know, everyone says, oh, you run out of motivation. You're not showing up to the gym every day because you're motivated. It comes down to discipline. And I guess I don't have that because I fall off easily. And I was at a point where I was like, you could tell me I could take the day off and I wouldn't want to. Like, I wanted to go get my workout done. And that's rare for me. And then one day led into two, led into a few weeks, and here we are. So I need to get back at it. I'm at this last like little home stretch of the last 15, 20 pounds, and I'm just not doing it. I'm just been in maintenance mode and I know what to do and I just don't do it.
So one thing that you had said, and this when you were talking about you're the reason you're doing the fasting is really to tighten things up for you a bit and just kind of rein things in. And I wonder, because I noticed, especially in during the holidays. So I did a couple of, whole holiday meals, one for Thanksgiving, one for Christmas. And for the Thanksgiving one, I made the oopsie cake. And for me, I had to make it a handful of times because I'd not made it before. And I just noticed that I wasn't doing so well because I'm tasting my recipes. You got to make sure it's right, because if you're going to put your name on it, right, it needs to be good. So I wonder if you think maybe that's an issue for you because you're working on this cookbook now, and we know it's not going to last forever, but you'll be done with it in 9 months time before you send it away or whatever, or January. Geez, that's January 31st. That's not that long. But I wonder, do you think maybe that might be a little bit of an issue for you?
Yeah, I'm hoping to not like balloon up in these next 6 months because yeah, dairy can get a little out of hand for me.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just one of those things I'm trying to figure out, okay, do I have a few days where it's recipe days and I'm allowed to have that dairy and the rest I'm off dairy? So, or I just really need to pay attention to, okay, am I actually hungry for this thing? Like if it's meat, I'm not going to eat meat if I'm not hungry, but I will have pork rind cereal or cheese or a creamy coffee because it tastes good and not because I'm hungry. So I'm really trying to just be aware of that and really like, okay, like I'm not hungry, my stomach's not growling, like I am fine, I don't need to have this right now. So I'm trying to figure that all out so I don't weigh 50 pounds heavier come January when I turn this thing in.
Oh, geez. Well, no, you won't let that happen. I think, you're feeling too good to let that happen. But talking about your pork rind cereal, there's a question for you. It says, Courtney, do you add sweetener to your pork rind cereal?
I don't, but I don't use any sweeteners ever, like no stevia, nothing. I feel like for me, if I had a taste of that, it would kick back in the sugar cravings for me. So I do not. Some people do and they like it, a little sprinkle of stevia or monk fruit or whatever. I do sometimes do a sprinkle of cinnamon, kind of gives it a cinnamon toast crunch flavor. But that's about it. No sweeteners for me.
Yeah, that actually sounds really amazing. You had mentioned that in Sean's live stream. I was like, "Ooh, what's his pork rind cereal?" I've not tried it. I too, dairy is my kryptonite. It is. We've been doing we did lion in June, sort of. We weren't exactly successful. We tried it. We attempted it. And we did have some success with it, and then we're doing BBBE this month. And I'll tell you what, I don't know what kind of impact it's going to have on me, but I am so looking forward to making a carnivore pizza. You have no idea. I miss cheese. I miss all the dairy. This has been a rough 2 months. This has really been the strictest I've ever been. And yeah, so are you using like raw milk? What kind of milk are you using? Or just like half and half?
Yeah, so we do have access to raw milk here. So I will use raw milk and do like a little drizzle of heavy cream. Half and half is good if you want to just use half and half. It's kind of rich. A full cream, I feel like it's too much to me. And I can drink full cream out of the bottle. So I do enjoy it. But on this, I feel like it's a little much. So I usually, yeah, do milk with a little bit of cream and a couple ice cubes to keep it really cold.
Okay.
And it's really good. It may sound disgusting, but it's actually really good. It tastes like, I mean, if you remember Rice Krispies, I feel like everyone would put sugar on them because they're not that sweet. So it tastes like Rice Krispies. It even kind of makes the same noise when you're putting the milk on. And it's just really good. You got to eat it kind of quickly. It starts to get a little soggy.
Hmm.
But I never really liked pork rinds before I tried this either.
Right.
Now I snack on pork rinds, but I never before would eat pork rinds. It kind of, I don't know, skeeved me out a little bit. So it took me a while to try this, but it's so good.
I think it did for a lot of us because I just like you, I did not like pork rinds. My dad always had them in the house. He loved them when I was growing up. And I just thought they were absolutely disgusting. They smelled funny, they tasted funny, and just that mouth feel. It was really weird. And ever since carnivore, I mean, there's not really nothing crispy that you can have that's not going to, I mean, you can make crispy cheese chips, right? But that could impact you a little bit because you can just keep eating them. I think at
Yeah.
least with the pork rinds for me, I can have a little bit. I get my crunch, I keep it in check, and I'm not going overboard. Not like I would with like a cheesy cheese crisp or something like that.
Yeah, same. And they have salt and vinegar ones that are really good. If anyone ever loved salt and vinegar potato chips, those are good. Or even if you do have some seasonings, using a little bit of cinnamon on pork rinds are good. Or if you're having dairy, dipping them in sour cream, I love too.
So, what would you say so far? Because I know you have a little bit of a way to go to get this cookbook done. What's your favorite recipe so far?
Ooh, noodles.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for this one. And we're holding on to it for a bit. So I shared yesterday like a new recipe that I made with the intention of putting in the book. So I will share a handful of new recipes throughout this time, but the noodles we're going to hang on to, probably not necessarily 4 in the book, but maybe like, I don't know, hey, we launched our cover. Here's my noodle recipe. I'm not sure when it will come out, but I'm so stinking excited for everyone to see and try it. It's so good.
Oh,
God, I mean, look at me, just patting myself on the back over here, but
as you
it's
should. Here, I got you too. I got you. I mean, noodles, they're hard to do. I've only made one attempt at making some carnivore noodles, and I know I didn't do it right because all it did was just taste like a baked scrambled egg, you know. And I know there's a science to it, and I like to cook. I'm not a chef, even though I did work in a kitchen. I can make any sad recipe under the sun amazing. But like you and who else? Chris Cooking Nashville, and then you have Anita, ketogenic woman. You guys have these really detailed and involved recipes that I'm like, man, how did they come up with that? That's just where do you even begin to come up with using toasted beef gelatin or beef gelatin? I don't know. I think it's really cool, and I do look forward to learning from each and every one of you. And eventually, because I am not that good, I'm going to be making your recipes and for the audience to see. And yours, Chris Cooking Nashville. I'd like to get one of Ketogenic Woman's involved, but those noodles, yes, yes, I would really like to do something like that. But we have a question for you from Miss Sarah. Miss Sarah asks, my Wi-Fi was a little in and out, so you may have already said, but what is the theme of the cookbook? And well, we already asked your favorite recipe, but the theme.
Yeah, the theme's just going to be carnivore. So strict carnivore, not even really using seasonings, honestly. I do have some in the desserts, vanilla and cinnamon, but they can be optional. Because I feel like the majority of us are not using seasonings. And if you are, it's not like all of these would need them. It's like, okay, if you're making ribs, then you can sprinkle a rub on. Like, so I feel like that's going to be kind of like the gray area. So just very simple, basic carnivore. There's going to hopefully be some meal plans, shopping list, tips for getting started, and then a chapter or a section or something on animal-based kids, which I'm not totally sure how I'm going to do because I literally have not had even a bite of fruit after going strict carnivore after my little animal-based stint. So it's like I don't want to share anything that I haven't tried and approved myself.
Right.
And so I'm trying to figure out like what I'm going to do for that. Because I made my kids like banana pancakes the other day. It was just banana and egg. But I'm like, okay, I could jazz this up, maybe add some protein powder, like do something to actually make this be like a proper recipe. And it's like, well, what do I do? Do I just like take a bite and then spit it out? But then even just having the taste, I'm like, is that going to trigger something for me? And now I'm going to go binge on bananas. So I don't know. That's going to be a little difficult part trying to do that kids section.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I mean, no cook never. Yeah, every cook tastes their food, right? I mean, it has to be up to your standards before you serve it to somebody. So that would be really difficult. I would have to think. I don't even know how I could. Well, I know how I would handle it. I wouldn't stop at one bite. At least that's what I keep telling myself. I don't know. I've been on this 18 months now, and I'm feeling pretty good about things. But like with sugar's my downfall. I could leave potato chips and all that stuff, and unless there's pizza, that's about the only savory thing that I really struggle with. But the sugar for me, so like those banana pancakes, oh man, it would probably be one bite. It's like, let me just make sure that this is right, because I'm not completely convinced
Mhm.
that it's up to par. But
Yeah.
good, yeah, you got to have a strong constitution for that. And really kudos to you. You're homeschooling your kids, and you're feeding them correctly, working on giving them a good foundation, which is so important. I think that's just one thing that you know, we don't think of. It's like, oh, well, we ate this food and that's how we grew up. But really, when they're young and especially in the womb, So, I mean, if you're going to start, that's the perfect time to do it, right? But when they're young and then they're building, the building blocks of life right there. And it's so important that they're not being fed Cheetos for lunch. And, I mean, we're all learning as we go along and how badly we've all been deceived with healthy foods, at least labeled healthy Franken foods. It's
Exactly.
it's really frustrating. I bought a book or I rented a book from the Bible or the library the other day. It's The 100-Year Lie, and I'm just starting to get into that. It's about how food and medicine has changed over the last 100 years, and it's a little bit it's frustrating to know that it's going on, and there's so many people, they just don't see what's happening behind the scenes with these lab created foods. So what you're doing is huge. I mean, that's going to be huge, especially with your age and you have young children. So now you're helping your generation and future generations by showing them, look, my kids can do it. I'm doing it. This has happened for me. This is happening for them. And it's awesome that you're going to have this whole, as they grow up, this whole time to document their progress and their health. And with your platforms, you're going to get the word out. So I hope you realize the work you're doing, how important it really is. And it's, just more than just, getting a cookbook out and helping people sustain with carnivore treats, as I like to call them, what you're making. Keep this diet sustainable, but more importantly, that you're doing this with your kids and keeping them away from that garbage. And you'll see down the road the impact, that because there is a ripple effect for sure. For sure. So I'm so
Thank
proud of you for
you.
that, Mama. I
Thank
really
you.
am.
Yeah, the kid thing is weird because it's like people say that I'm like gonna give them an eating disorder and they're not getting the nutrients eating this way, and they're not strict carnivore, very heavy animal based. But that's our whole thing, is just like nutrition and education, like teaching them why we're eating this way and what is this food doing. Like what is this steak doing to your body? And they're like, every time they eat a steak, they're like, oh, look at my muscles. And my 3-year-old, she's like, fat is flavor. Like she goes around chanting that. So we just want to like teach them like eating proper nutrition and why we're eating this way. And if you are going to have something, if you are going to go to a kid's birthday party and have a cupcake, pay attention, listen to your body. You don't have to finish it. Like you can set it down, see how your stomach feels. And later, when you're running around like a crazy person, because you will, like, let's be aware that how you're acting and feeling right now is because you had that cupcake earlier. So we just try and pay attention to things and not it's such a weird balance because I don't want to demonize foods, even though I think some should be. I don't want them to like get older and run to a friend's house and binge on all the things. So I think that's where education comes into play, and giving them a little freedom to make their own decisions. If we are outside of the house at something, I don't bring that stuff in because I don't want to get asked 20 times a day if they could have it. It's annoying. So everything we have here is like yes, you can have that. Or if they are having fruit, it's like, okay, well, what are you going to have for your protein? So I think focusing on like the macro side of things, and if you're going to have fruit, pair it with the protein. And yeah, the kid thing, it's hard, and it's a daily struggle. I feel like also mentally, like because I get all these comments, and it's in my head like, okay, I hope I'm not screwing them up. I hope I'm not going to give them an eating disorder in the future or give them a wonky relationship with food. But I don't know. We're just doing our best. And I feel like this is a proper way for them to be eating.
Well, I'm sorry you have to deal. Well, we know that there are trolls out there and everybody's an expert nowadays, right? I'm sorry you have to deal with that, because that could mess with you, a little bit, and make you question, whether you're doing the right thing for them. But I wholeheartedly believe you absolutely are. Again, you're building a solid foundation, and they're not going to have an eating disorder. They're going to be well educated, and they're going to know. I mean, I think from what you explained, you're doing it correctly. Now, I wonder, do you think maybe, I know that they're going to have a head start because they're not going to public schools and not being fed the garbage that they feed, did that impact on your decision to homeschool?
Didn't even think about the food side of things, honestly.
Okay.
It's just
Yeah.
the shenanigans over the last 3 years. We're
Yeah.
like, no, we're not going to be a part of this. I'm not having the government co-parent with me.
Exactly. Exactly. So that was another thing. I mean, if you look at that, they would have been eating that garbage when they're away from the house. They're going to do whatever they want because mom's eyeballs aren't on there to tell me no. And, so win-win. I mean, that's just another plus to you keeping them home. And it's just very smart, mama. All
Oh
right.
yeah, Nisha, I'm reading some of the comments. I love watching her stuff. Yeah, her kids aren't carnivore, I would say, probably more ketovore or animal based or whatever. I don't know if they have any grains or anything. But yeah, lots of meat and I see fruit and maybe some veggies. I'm actually not quite sure, but I do enjoy watching her vlogs with her kids.
Okay, let's see what we've got right here. Yeah, Nisha Berry has the same approach with her kids and they love it. Yeah, that's just so amazing. Again, you and people like your age group, your generation, you're raising a generation who is going to be in the know and smarter and stronger than everybody else that has been deceived and is sad. And I just hope that we can keep getting the word out. It's really sad. I've found myself very angry lately, a little more so than normal, with the government and their control and what they allow. And you could do a deep dive, and I think it's a bottomless pit of all the dirty deeds that are going on with super mega food core and the medical industry as a whole. It's really frustrating to me. But anyway, this is a happy day. So let's see. We are going to find another comment here. And if you feel free to pull anything up or just give somebody a shout out or whatever if you see something. But here's one. Okay, I do see a question mark. Are any of you getting primal beef cuts and then cutting out to steaks, roast, or grinding your own meats? Do you do anything like that, Courtney? Where you get a roast
No,
and just cut your steaks?
I
No.
haven't. I'm just kind of lazy, but I also haven't seen, at least where at Costco, like there wasn't ever a big price difference on getting like a whole roast and cutting them, like cutting your ribeyes. So I'm like, I'm not going to do all this work.
Well,
I
not
do
when it's
have
done for you.
a, right? I do have a meat grinder, like an attachment for my KitchenAid that I have done liver once to add to burgers, which it didn't even actually need that grinding. It was so soft. So I do need to try it for something else because I that was the only thing I've done in there.
Yeah, I would absolutely love. Now, a few kitchen items I would like is a grinder, and I would like a food slicer and some type of a dehydrator. I would like to make my own jerky. But as far as roasts are concerned, taking loin, over Christmas, Publix had their prime rib roasts on sale for $5.99 a pound. We picked up so much of it, and yeah, we took the roast, and some of them are pretty big, like 15-pound loins, and we just cut them into steaks. Easy peasy. Where else are you going to find ribeye for $6 a pound with the amount of marbling that it had? And it was just really good. It was
Yeah,
good. So we've done that.
that's a good idea at Christmas time, especially to go look for that. I'll have to pay attention because I did see a lot of people doing that. And I'm like, I don't know. We didn't have that. Or maybe I should go to a regular grocery store, but we don't have those good prices here.
Well, I think, oh, you know what? Yeah, you're in California. I don't know. So maybe it would be like $7.99 or $8.99 a pound. But it was, I've noticed it's Christmas and then right around Easter.
Hmm.
They have these amazing sales. So when you can, and if you have a freezer, stock up. They usually, what they do is called deco the bone. There are other terms for it, but they take the bone away and then they just tie it back on. So you could take that bone, you can cook it up, turn it into bone broth, or, just eat it as a rib. And then you've got your steak. So they make it kind of easy for you too. And they'll cut it up for you too. So I dig that though. But yeah, I'd love a meat grinder and I would love a food slicer and a dehydrator. I have a lot of ideas, a lot of things that I'd like to do. And I'm like, well, yeah, that costs money. Not yet. Oh, there we go. So Chef Fat Grams, I was actually talking about you today. Yeah, he was on our live the other night and he is coming out with a pizza crust recipe. I'm so ready for pizza. I couldn't tell you how many times I'm ready for some cheese. Now I don't need any of the sauce or anything, but just give me some good sausage, some pepperoni, some cheese, and a nice crust, and I'm solid. But yeah, he says, I wonder if anyone else has had this experience. When I did the BBBE challenge, I lost about 2 pounds more than my normal keto weight. Oddly, when I finished, I was still in ketosis, but came back the next day. With fasting, I mean, it depends on what you introduced. Did you go right back to your dairy? Did you have, 3, 4 ounces of cheese and, a few cups of coffee with heavy cream or, I mean, there's really no telling it. We're all so different, all the same, but we're also different. Things don't work the same on me as it would on him. And same with you, Courtney. I mean, you're a woman and guys are just different. But we have another question here from Miss Jennifer. I'm not ready yet. Do you ladies count macros? I'm really struggling with sticking to this way of eating. I hate it and feel so shameful about it. Courtney?
I do occasionally. I think it's a really good tool, especially for people in the beginning. Maybe you're coming from a way where you're eating way too much and your hunger cues haven't adjusted. So it's nice to get a visual on like what you should be eating. Or if you're coming from a place of under eating, I think it's a nice way to give yourself permission that, okay, I can eat this way and it's a good thing. I can eat this much. So I do feel like it can be helpful. I've actually been considering getting back into it again just because if I'm just eating meat, I'm good. I don't need to track. I would track out of curiosity and my macros are always fine. If I'm incorporating dairy, then it would be easy to go over like regular macros. So I've been thinking about tracking again just to reel myself in. And I feel like it helps be more aware. Like we were talking earlier about the pork rind cereal. It's like, okay, I don't need this pork rind cereal right now because look, I'm already at my macros and I'm not really hungry. So I think it's a nice sense of awareness. I would be curious to know how long you've been eating this way, because you say you're struggling to stick with it. How long have you been eating? Like what happens when you go off? What are you eating? Like I would like to know more. Yeah, I'd like to know more about what you would be eating in a day.
Yeah, that has a lot to do with it. Again, if you're eating a ton of dairy or ingredients that we probably shouldn't be eating. But I think there really is something to that, especially if you're consuming a lot of dairy, counting your macros, because that's going to help keep things in check. Because I don't know about anybody else, but at least in my mind, all too often, I have the outlook as, well, it's an animal product, so I should be okay. No, that is not the case. I found the last year ish, I have done nothing but allowed myself to be in a stall because I kept the dairy. I consumed so much dairy. Now, whether that saved me from completely going off the rails, I don't know. I know that I'm in a great place right now, but there might really be something said about that, about counting the macros, because that's something I've not had to do on carnivore. But going forward, because after this month, which ends tomorrow, that's the last day of the month, thankfully, like I said, I'm going to go back to a relaxed carnivore. Of course, I'm going to keep up my workout, but this may not be a bad thing because I do miss the cheese so much, and I might have to really look into that. So, Jennifer, thanks for that question. You really got me thinking about it. And I always think about, when somebody has a comment or a question, and it's like, maybe that's something that I could change. But, Jennifer, don't feel shameful about it. I think that's the worst thing you can do for yourself. You just start doubting yourself and self-loathing. That's never a good place to be in. Be happy, be healthy, and you tweak things as you go along, because steaks may not always work for you. You may have to add something else. Maybe you need some eggs. And that's one thing that I've learned too, is playing around with your food, playing around with what works. Maybe a little more protein, like with chicken, a little less fat. I mean, everybody's different from day to day. But we do have another question from this guy right here. That's for you, Courtney. It says, how long was Courtney a chef professionally, and where?
Okay, so technically I'm a self-taught chef. The word chef is just so weird to me. I'm just a cook, I feel like. Um, but I cooked on yachts. So I started out as a stewardess, and then I found a different boat where I was a stewardess and a cook for the crew. And then I loved that so much that I'm like, okay, I'm done being a stewardess, which that didn't end up being the case. But I'm like, I'm going to go find a boat where I'm just cooking. And so I did. I went and found a boat where I was cooking for them, but I was still a stewardess. So I'd cook all their meals and then I'd scrub their toilets. So yeah, that's just what I did. I was on boats for 7 years.
Wow.
And yeah, I stopped boats. I did a little stint of doing like kind of just catering some private dinners or whatever, nothing too big and crazy, just small things. And then I stayed home. I was going to have my baby, and that was the end of that. And then so I kind of just trickled into sharing my food on social media.
So cool. So cool. That had to have been really interesting. You probably have a lot of really good, of course, bad memories too, but a lot of good memories. I mean, not everybody can say that, hey, I got to cook for people while being out on the ocean on this boat. And it's definitely an experience that many of us have not had. And that's really cool. You have a love for cooking, you have a passion for it, and now you can apply that passion to cooking much healthier meals that really, it's going to keep people on track. It will. And that's awesome.
Yeah,
Very
it's still weird cooking this way, because I've cooked for so long using all the ingredients. I actually had someone ask me, like, if I was from the South, like a crew member that I was cooking for, like, are you Southern? Like, all this food that you're cooking, like, I feel like I'm like a big old Southern lady, like trapped in my body. But yeah, I just loved it. And like you said, cooking all the sad things. Yeah, like baking was never like my strong suit, but anything carby, fattening, like anything not good for you, like I would home run that, hit it out of the
Oh,
park, whatever the saying is. So now to be doing carnivore, like I never would have thought, if you would have told me 10 years ago, I would come out with a cookbook that was carnivore and not using all the other ingredients, I would have thought you're crazy. So it's still weird. And I'm still learning. Like before carnivore, I never once grilled anything. I did not use, this was my husband's grill, and now it's mine. So yeah, it's still kind of weird because I'm still learning and figuring this all out, because I'm eating so differently than I was a year ago. So it's pretty wild.
yeah. Again, you have a passion for it, and I love it. And I was famous for, making food taste amazing, which absolutely destroyed my health and everybody else's health too for that. But man, I was really good with that. So I try to keep my recipes. I don't even know if you want to call it cooking method. How about that? I like to keep them simple, because I would spend hours and hours not only researching recipes with a drooling mouth, and then shopping for it and doing the prep work and then the actual cooking. And then there's the cleanup, which could take forever. That's one thing I really do like about this. I don't mind getting the kitchen a little messy right now, trying different recipes, but doggone, that was a lot of work. And that was all the time, all the
Yeah,
time.
that's such a good point, because yeah, I would like be all over Pinterest and getting ideas, then meal planning, then shopping for all those. And now it's like, okay, what animal are we having for this
Yeah.
meal? There's no planning. I mean, once in a while, like, because obviously, like in my cookbook, I'm going to have more than just how to cook ribs or something. There's going to be some more ingredients mixed together, but I'm not eating like that every single day. And I don't think anyone should be making my chicken Alfredo every single day. Like, it might be a little much, like, I think we should always stick to the meats, prioritize the meats, and incorporate these fun foods every so often. But the whole point of carnivore is to like keep it simple. And it's so funny because when I was trying to come up with, I needed like a little description for the book, and it's like, well, I can't say carnivore made easy or made simple, because this is the opposite. Carnivore made simple is just cooking up a steak. This is not making it more simple. So for me with this, it's actually kind of calling it to help you keep carnivore creative and sustainable. So for those that don't want to have a burger patty or a steak that day, then here's some fun recipes for you. But yeah, normal carnivore is just so simple and easy, and it's nice. Quick.
Indeed.
Throw
Indeed it
on the
is.
grill.
One thing I was thinking, I'm definitely planning on doing a video on this, but this is something, some great tips that you can put in. Not that I'm trying to add more work to you, but this would be really interesting. There is a way to cut each meat. If you cut it a certain way, like some go with the grain, other roasts and steaks you cut against the grain, it really makes the difference in like how tender it's going to be. You can completely ruin $100 piece of meat by incorrectly cutting it. So I definitely, like I said, I plan on getting a video on that, but that might not be something bad for you to think about.
Thank you.
Little tips and tricks.
Yeah, I forget that, things that may come like natural and normal to me, I forget that a lot of people don't know that. So yeah, like cutting against the grain on like a skirt steak or something, like to me, that's just what you do. But I kind of forget that some people need to be taught how to boil water, essentially, is what I'm trying to
You're
say.
absolutely right about that. And that will be something that, people will probably do one of these and they'll be upset with themselves, but it's just not general knowledge. It's just not out there. So yeah, that'll be pretty cool. So let's see. I have a question, a few more questions and a few more, a little bit chat, and then we're going to get on with our Sunday. So we've got, let's see, Mama Bear, Cassie, could you please start an Amazon wish list so we can support you by providing those desired kitchen tools? I love you, Mama Bear. You're just too sweet sometimes. Let's see. I know I saw another question here. Sarah. I hear people talk about fat trimmings in the air fryer. Do you know how to make this?
Throw them in the air fryer.
Throw them in the air fryer. Exactly. It's pretty easy. That's one thing I love about an air fryer. I don't always cook with it. I prefer either cast iron or grill are my preferred cooking methods. Larry, he'll put anything in an air fryer or a microwave and he's a happy guy. No, that's not my thing. But air fryers, I love air fry for reheating, keeping things crispy and whatnot. But yeah, you could I've even fried them up on the stovetop. There's a little more involvement with that, Miss Sarah, because, you have to stir it and make sure you're not burning it. But yeah, if you can, just pop that bad boy in the air fryer, pull it out after a few minutes and give it a little shake.
Yeah. Depends on how like big your chunks are. So it's hard to give just like a flat time, but if they're in like bite size, God, it's been so long since I've made them. I don't even remember 5-10 minutes. I would just keep an eye on them.
Mm-hmm. All right. Mama Bear has another question, and this is definitely geared toward you. Do you know of any other moms with a disabled kid eating this way? I'm feeling a little alone in this space. Epilepsy, scoliosis, nonverbal agenesis of the corpus callosum, hypotonia. Did I do pretty good with those medical terms?
I don't even know what half of those are. I will say, if you are on Instagram, go find Coach Jen Winkler. She uses, she's not totally carnivore. She's playing around with adding some things in, maybe call her ketovore, but she uses this way of eating for her epilepsy. And then okay, I'm assuming, I don't want to say anything that she hasn't come out and said. I'm assuming she's talked about it. Um, just go follow her. I'll stop talking in case I don't think it's private information, but now I'm like questioning myself. But check her out. I think she would be a good one to follow for that.
So this is actually pretty funny. I was looking up documentaries. There was one in particular. Lynette, there's a woman in our group. I believe her name is Liz. I'll have to double check. This was just brought up last week, like Wednesday or Thursday. And her daughter is highly autistic. And I remember seeing a documentary that really spoke volumes to me of the power of food. Let thy food be thy medicine. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. Now, it leans definitely more keto, but hey, it's called The Magic Pill on Netflix. It's it's very watchable, and it's an eye opener. And it follows 7 different people. A couple of them are autistic. One of them is nonverbal, and it followed their journey, all the struggles that everybody dealt with. And one woman is battling cancer, and another woman was battling her friends who really weren't into the ketogenic lifestyle. This was set out a few years ago, so even though the word was out there, it's still like we're still look like we're crazy people, because everybody needs fiber, allegedly. But yeah, so that would be really something good to look for. And then, as you said, Jen Winkler. But
Yeah. And I will say I've had one person in mind that has actually like text or messaged me, and I've seen other comments before of people that are on the spectrum. And one in particular, she said that she feels less autistic when she eats this way. That whatever I always can't come up with the right word, whatever not the quirks, but whatever their little things
ticks,
are.
the
Yeah,
little
like
ticks.
whatever their challenges are and stuff like that. Like if it's a sensory thing or whatever, she says it makes things a little bit easier, like on that end. So
The power of food.
exactly, like what you're eating is definitely affecting things for sure.
Yeah. We found that food is either going to kill us, make us sick, or it's going to get us healthy. And I love it. I love the healthy part for sure. Let's see. What do we have here? Okay. Y'all talk amongst yourselves. The cast iron weapon. Cast iron. Is that your favorite cookware, Miss Courtney?
Yeah, I use cast iron. I prefer the grill, so I grill as much as I can. But when I'm inside, cast iron's all I use on the stove, and then I do love my Instant Pot and my air fryer.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I have the same cookware that got me extremely well. It definitely contributed because I've been there for decades, very sick and overweight. But I'm using the same cookware that I cooked my Chicago style pizza in, and scratch made banana bread, and you name it. I mean, I made all these good tasting foods, but now I'm using those same pans to help my health. So that was kind of something I'm like, well, that's kind of a paradox. That's pretty cool. These cast iron got me so sick, and now they're definitely helping me out. So let's see. And Mama Bear says, I will search out Magic Pill. I'm not on Instagram. By the way, my son does not fall in the autism spectrum, but there are approximately 17 disorders in total. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Well, I love you, Mama Bear. What's up, Okon Dragon? I see you. Carnivore Police. All right. Well, Miss Courtney, is there anything, any final words or any plugs that you would like to give out to this lovely community that we have today?
Yeah, I'll sure plug myself.
Please do. Please do.
I'm on YouTube, so I'd love for you guys to come over and see what I got going on. I share a lot of short videos, so a lot of recipes and what I'm eating in a day and stuff in there. And then on my longer form videos, I do some vlogs here and there. We have a lot of interviews from the past that are up on there. And yeah, I'm really trying to focus on YouTube right now, especially with my cooking videos. So any love and support you want to give me is truly appreciated. And I'm on all the platforms. If you are on TikTok and you are feeling bad about yourself, come read my comments. You will feel so much better. They are truly horrendous over there. I'm on
Oh,
Instagram. Love Instagram. I feel like that's another good place to like nurture your community. You got like the DMs and stuff. I feel like YouTube, you can't really, you're only talking to people in the comments. So I love Instagram for a little bit more like intimate connection. So slide into my DMs. So if you're over there and say hi. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Clapper, all the things.
oh,
But
wow.
yeah, Pinterest. Oh, Pinterest is a good one too for my recipes that you can go and kind of organize them. I always forget about Pinterest. I'm not good about being consistent over there, but there's a bunch on there already that you can go save to your boards.
Well, how could you be consistent? I mean, you're only on like 10 other platforms, we're just on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, and that keeps me more than busy. It
Yeah,
really does. I
it's
even
a
find
lot.
myself falling behind, and then here you are, getting ready to homeschool, you're doing your cooking videos. So you are a very amazing lady and super inspirational, and I really appreciate you coming on today, and definitely let us know when that book is out. And we know it'll be a little while, but keep us all in the loop. Y'all check out Courtney on her channel. She's amazing, and she's gonna make some serious waves in the carnivore space. And I'm
Oh,
sure in 15, 20 years, her kids will be out there too, and they'll be doing the same. Changing the world here. That's for
awesome.
sure. Well, thanks again, Courtney. It was great chatting with you. And y'all, thanks for showing up. Okon Dragon, you are not the carnivore police. You know that was a joke. So but yeah, thanks again, Courtney. I
Thank
absolutely
you.
love this. And y'all have a most wonderful rest of your day. Tuesdays, I think it is this Tuesday, we're having Tuesday night trivia, and I'm not sure who the special guest is. So check it out, or don't. We'll let you know for sure. But until then, y'all, no sugar, no carbs, no cheating. Thanks again, and have a great rest of your day.
Bye. Thank you.